Hey everybody, so it's Sunday morning and I just finished reading the book Mindset. And if you saw my video earlier, you know I'm obsessed with this book. It is awesome, and it was seriously probably the best personal development book I read in the last year. Just throwing that out there. But today what I wanted to talk to you about, because I just finished reading it, she had a fantastic wrap up at the end of the book that I really wanted to share with you, and I even have some talking points that I'm going to show after so that you can do this. And what I want to talk about today is how you can change your mindset. Also, before I get into that, something I'm going to plan on starting to do is doing what I'm going to call the Daily 5. I'm going to just talk for 5 minutes about something that I've learned, something that I've implemented, something that I really love, whatever, but it's going to be a 5-minute quick video about whatever that thing is. So quick recap, what Mindset's basically about is the difference between the fixed mindset and the growth mindset. And basically every person either has one or the other. The fixed mindset is very much I am smart, I am successful, I am a good person. It comes from this idea of judgment. You either are that or you aren't that. Whereas the growth mindset very much comes from a place of learning. I had this experience and this is what I can learn from it. And basically this book is her giving a ton of different examples of those different mindsets in a lot of different settings. So teacher to student, coach to player, even in the business realm. So she gives all of these great examples, which is something I really love about this book. It's very well illustrated what she's talking about. But the very last chapter, she talks about changing your mindset. And that's what I want to talk about today, because if we have fixed mindsets, I have been dealing with a fixed mindset. It is crippling. It is not being willing to ask for help. Basically, she gives a lot of great examples of like the quarterback who maybe he was the Heisman Trophy winner, and he gets to the pros and he's really struggling. And if he stays in that fixed mindset and doesn't realize that this is a learning opportunity, he's going to continue to struggle. She talks about, the recent divorcee who, if they stay in the fixed mindset, then when their marriage falls apart, they kind of think of themselves as a failure, and my spouse was right, and I'm not worth it, and all my relationships are bad. Whereas if they come from a growth mindset perspective, they think of it as, okay, I did things wrong, she did things wrong, how can I make my relationship better in the future? So she gives all of these great examples. So how do you go about changing your mindset if you have a fixed mindset and changing it to a growth mindset? Well, the first thing you can do is recognize it. Recognize what kind of language you use and how you talk about yourself or talk about others. I know for me, and I used this example in the last video, graduate school is a struggle for me because of that fixed mindset. Whenever I get a critique, or whenever I don't do well on an exam, or I don't do well on some sort of evaluation, I think I'm not good enough. I don't deserve to be here, blah, blah, blah. So recognizing that language you use can really tell you what kind of mindset you're in. You may actually be in a fixed mindset about certain things and in a growth mindset about others. And I think just recognizing what kind of language you're using tells you a lot about what kind of mindset you're in. So first step, recognizing it. Second step, and I have my talking points over here that I'll show you afterward, is learn the basics. Learn what it means to be in a growth mindset and why that is the type of mindset you want to be in. So she gives a lot of great examples of the neuroscience behind it, the neurobiology behind it, and the fact that when you learn, and I will reference some of this stuff if I can find the references she's referring to, I'll put them in the comments. What she's referring to in this is the fact that when we learn, it's actually been scientifically demonstrated that our brain grows. Our brain is like a muscle, and our brain grows as we learn things. It builds as we learn things. We're learning new connections, or our brain is making new connections, so that when we do these things again, we're better at them, and we're better at them. And each time we do them, those connections get stronger, or there get to be more of them. So when we're doing those things, the pathway fires quicker, So she talks about the biology behind it and why this is legitimate. And she gives tons of examples. So learn the basics, look at her work, buy this book, or just go, I'm pretty sure she has a website, which I can also link below. Just go to her website and learn the basics of why the growth mindset is legit. This third step is to create a plan. So this was really key. And it really comes to that kind of idea of, even if you're just trying to lose weight, or you're trying to save money or whatever, a lot of people, if they have to make a change or they have to do something that's kind of difficult for them, they'll often say, okay, I'll do it tomorrow, or start next week, I'll start whatever. And she says, don't stop there. If you're going to do this tomorrow, come up with a concrete plan. And the example she used was somebody who got rejected from grad school. They could have just moped. They could have just they got rejected from their top choice grad school, more importantly, and they didn't just mope. Instead, what they did is they're like, okay, so what I'm going to do is tomorrow during my lunch break, I'm going to call them. I'm going to find out how I can improve my application. That's the difference. Instead of saying, okay, I'll call them tomorrow, they made a concrete plan of what they're going to do, when they're going to do it, and how they're going to do it. And that's really, really something that a lot of us can implement. If you're going to start your diet tomorrow, what are you going to do? Where are you going to do it? How are you going to do it? Making that concrete plan instead of just saying, I'll start tomorrow, I'll start next week, I'll start next month, whatever. Create a plan, and not only that, but when obstacles come up, reevaluate your plan. Don't just say, oh, my plan didn't work, and give up. Use those obstacles and those things that you've run into that have maybe hindered your plan, and reevaluate, create a new plan, and keep going forward. The last step is to be consistent. She gave some great examples of, even in the parenting context, of how somebody was trying to change the behavior of their child. Their child was like cleaning up after themselves, whatever. So they used these growth mindset ways to reinforce their child's good behavior. But the problem was that once their child started behaving the way they wanted, they stopped doing those reinforcing behaviors, and the child just went back to where it was. Same thing goes for if you're trying to make a lifestyle change. We all know that you can lose all the weight in the world, but if you don't keep those lifestyle changes up, your exercise habits, your eating habits, whatever, you're just going to put weight back on, right? You have to be consistent in behaviors that created that change for you. So if you can do those things, recognize what mindset you're in, learn the basics behind that mindset, create a plan so you can implement whatever change you're trying to make, and be consistent with those changes. That is the best way you can change your mindset. So that's really what I wanted to talk about today. I highly suggest you check out this book if you haven't already. Seriously, like the best personal development book I've read in forever. I'm going to look up, see if she's got other books. I'm probably going to look up her journal articles because I'm a nerd. But that is how you can go ahead and change your mindset. Here, I'm going to flip this so I can show you my notes. So these are my notes. So how to change your mindset, recognize it. If you're in the fixed mindset, you're probably coming from a place of judgment. If you're in a growth mindset, you're coming from a place of learning. Learn the basics behind the growth mindset. I talked about some of them in the video. Create a plan for how you're going to make your change, and then be consistent in your change. So that's all I got for you guys today. I will keep this up, doing my daily 5. I hope this was 5 minutes. I really don't know. I'll set a timer next time. But I'm going to try to keep all of this up, and I hope you enjoyed this, and I will talk to you all later. Have a great Sunday. Bye.